differently abled, differently.
Jackie Njeru had to make tough choices when she was told that her son was not going to be able to hear again. The young boy had to undergo an expensive surgery to assist him to regain his sense of hearing. Take a look at that story.
It was the urge to give his son independence that informed the decision that Jackie Njeru took to have the cochlear implant.
I would have actually opted for the sign language. It was the easier way out. But now I asked myself, okay, me and my family would have actually done the sign language to understand him more. But what about the society?
She had discovered that at 3 years old, her son Maxwell was not responding to sound and even turned violent when he needed attention.
In the house, you could only put full blasts on TV or radio. That was the only thing he was hearing. He was very hyper, very uncontrollable. He was always to draw someone's attention. Like me, I have a lot of scars from him biting me and beating me to catch my attention, you know. That was the only way he was able to express himself.
The first intervention was to get hearing aids, which did not help much.
I'm getting 2 news here. I'm being told he's deaf. And now another expense here for the hearing aids. So we went back home. Of course, mourning, depression, and all that. After 2 or 3 weeks, I decided to have another opinion. So I took him to another audiologist who did a different test now. This one now was more computerized. It's called an ABR test, where he's usually with the anomaly sedated and then put through the machine. So I thought it was more accurate. Only now that this time they said one of the ears the nerves were completely dead. That is the right side. When we got a hearing aid, it was not going to be of any help. So we only needed one hearing aid. And now at this point I was told I could actually get one for 80,000 Kenya shillings. So after some time we got it. But unfortunately, he still did not respond with it. I came to learn later on that being severe and profound, and you don't have a powerful hearing aid, it ends up being noise to the kid.
It was at this point that she opted to travel to India for her son to undergo the surgery.
I was told about cochlear implant surgery, and it was not a mean figure. I was told one was going for 2.7 Kenya shillings million Kenya shillings at that point. So both of them were going to cost around 5.4 million Kenya shillings. Yeah. So that was in Kenya and in India as well.
The surgery was successful and they came back home with a story of triumph.
The surgery took 2 hours. It was the longest time of my life because, you know, we all dressed up to theater with him. He's clinging to me. He's wondering, I'm surrendering him to strangers like all Indians. I'm just there, you know. We look at each other. We start tearing and all that. But anyway, I had to let him go. I just went back to the ward. I rained down and every kind of prayer. There is no name that I did not call God on that day. And after close to 2 hours, I was called by the doctor. I did not pick. I was so scared. He called like twice. I did not pick. Then he sent a text and said, "Mom, you may come now. Everything is okay." That is when I went down. So I met him, waiting for him to wake up fully. And there we were with a whole bandage on his end. So then we went to the ward. So at that point, you only stay in the hospital for 1 day with the bandage on as they observe him. Then the following day, you're discharged. You go to the guest house. That was the most, the toughest part of it, because I was asking them, now, you are releasing the child with a bandage on the hand. I don't even know how to handle him. Why can't he stay at least for 3 or 4 days? As we observe him, then they say, no, yeah, ma'am, you are only supposed to stay in the hospital for 1 day. Then the doctor discharges you, and that is what has happened. So we went to the guest house. But now, after every 1 or 2 days, we're going for the change of the bandage. Then after 14 days, no, the bandage was removed within the same week. Actually, the kinks heal so fast. The cut had already healed from here to here, though not internally, but now you're given 14 days for it to heal completely.
However, the cochlear implant only aids in hearing, and much more had to be done to ensure that Maxwell developed speech.
I thought once now he begins hearing, it's automatic for him to start speaking, but no. We had to do now speech therapy, which we have done, I think, for the last 4 years.
Jackie says that the school that Maxwell is enrolled in has been of great help pre and post-surgery.
All this time, Maxwell was actually in school. He was actually in kindergarten, preschool, kindergarten 1. Then within that year still, the school that he was in called me and told me not to return Maxwell to the same school again. The only option was to take him to a deaf school, which I had refused to do so because I had so much hope with my son. Even when I was referred to a deaf school by a certain institution, I told them no. My neighbor had a friend who was a teacher in my son's now current school. So when she had me looking for a school, she referred me to the school that he is in right now. So I went there, met the owner of the school. The owner of the school introduced me to our 2 kids who have hearing impairment, but had done the surgery already. And they were all talking, and I was very encouraged. That is when my hope now was restored. For the first time that day, I believed that now my son was going to hear and he was going to speak. She helped me join a WhatsApp group for parents with kids with hearing impairment. So when I joined the WhatsApp group, one of the days, one of the parents wrote there that if you're a civil servant, the actuary sponsoring or the actuary pay for the surgery, whether in Kenya or in India or wherever you want to go, and they cater for the entire expenses. So I got relieved because Maxwell is a beneficiary of that scheme.
Maxwell's progress is so far encouraging.
He has achieved a lot. When I found him, he had gone for speech therapy for a while, I think 3 years, for 3 years. So he had achieved a lot. He could name things. What you're working on right now is lengthening his utterances, yeah, making him speak in sentences.
Once a kid has been fixed with a cochlear implant, then there is need for consistency in oral rehabilitation, in training to listen, and also in training for speech. And this, I repeat, is something that takes 1 year, 2 years, or even 3 years. And sometimes even after 3 years, your baby will speak and will hear, but not the adequate words, not so rich in vocabulary. And so what does that mean? We continue.
God being on my side, Max will fulfill his purpose. Because it reached a point I told God, you know what? Max is not even mine. He belongs to you. I'm just a custodian. So I'll do the best for him as you do what you want to do with him.
The cochlea is a very expensive device, and other than having it insured, Maxwell has also been taught how to take care of it.
Right now, as we speak, if it has a problem, he knows what is not working. You try, he has his bag that has the accessories. You try changing, you know. And I allowed him to, because at the end of the day, it's not my gadget, it is his. Initially, I was very afraid of him damaging it, but then I realized, no, I was doing the wrong thing.
The year that Maxwell was diagnosed with hearing loss was the toughest for his mom, who's now very much dedicated to doing advocacy.
My journey was very painful, and I keep on saying, if I can make someone's journey less painful, even by 1 minute, I'll be glad to do so. I do advocacy for the hearing impaired children all the time, in social media, wherever I am. So, and every September, I promise myself that because it's a Deaf Awareness Month, I'll be doing something for the kids or for the community that God has called me to now, because I understand the journey more than anyone else now.
Let's take a short break, but we'll be right back with more. Don't go too far.
'Cause we're differently abled, differently.